What is going on, everybody? It's me, Andy, and this is the Killer Comic Show. And tonight, I am your host. Believe it or not, I am in charge, and I am going to be flying from the seat of my pants this evening. But you know what? It's another Thursday. It's another Killer Comic Show. Let's do it. Let's see how we go tonight. Yeah. So Tom is off on his holidays, getting some sunshine and tanning his white bits, as it were. And Charlie has some family commitments that he has to deal with tonight. So I thought, you know what, we can't not have a Killer Comic Show on a Thursday night. There's people in the chat, there's people waiting, people watching. They want to see what we have to offer. So I thought, you know what, I'm just going to go live and see how it goes. We'll see how things go. I'm sure the chat's going to keep me company. But you knew that I wasn't just going to do this myself. So I did put out the bat signal, I put out the call, and I put out a request for the person that has the most comic knowledge in all of the UK and US and the world comic community. Unfortunately, I couldn't get to him. So I've got Mr. Sean the Noob. Sean, how is it going? Welcome to the Killer Comic Show.
Good to be here. Nothing quite like getting ripped to shreds first thing, but other than that, come to expect it. Nothing less.
Listen, what do you expect? You've been on Panels and Pints, you know how it goes. But this was very much last minute, so thank you so much, Sean, for coming on and holding my hand and keeping an eye out in the chat for me, because it's like mission control here. I've got StreamYard. I haven't done a live show for absolutely ages, so this can either go really, really well, guys, or it can go absolutely horribly wrong. But it doesn't really matter. We're here. There's people in the chat. So without further ado, let's have a look and see who we have in the chat. It looks as if we've got this guy called the Noob. So hey, evening peeps. I love the way you use the same introduction every single time that you come on a YouTube stream. I love it. And speaking of the same introduction every single time, ahoy there, mates and mermaids. How's it going, Captain Comics? Thanks so much for joining us. We've got Mark Oldroyd. Evening all. Good to have you here. Thank you. I hope just seeing my face, and especially his face, doesn't disappoint you too much. I know you're expecting Charlie and Tom as well, but let's just see how we go. We'll get Firehawk in the house. How's it going, my friend? Thank you for joining. I really do appreciate it. We have got the one that only Leon Russell in the house. And we have the Hobgoblins Hideaway. How's it going, sir? Good to have you in the chat. And we've got Connie Dalton joining us. How is it going? I've seen you in last week's chat and a few of the other shows that I watch as well. So thank you so much for joining the Killer Comics Show. So there we have it so far. I think I survived the intro, Sean. What do you think? Marks out of 10? Did I pass? Am I all right? Yeah.
7.5.
I'll do. 7.5. You know, I'll here. Listen, I
will.
Better
than some of the comics you made me read. So
well, let's just hold.
We'll talk about that later.
We have some fantastic reviews, and bless Sean, he quickly read all 3 comics very, very quickly within space of half an hour. So it'll be really interesting to see what he thinks of the books that we're going to be reading. So you know how we do it in the Killer Comics Show. The first thing we are going to do is we're actually going to give a shout out to our main man Tom and give him a little bit of a plug with regards to Not Quite Mint. Let's face it, guys, he's on holiday. He's going to have to pay for those sangrias somehow. So we would like to urge you to go to Not Quite Mint for all your exclusives and any of your comics that you're looking to pick up. If you're wanting a little bit of a cheeky discount as well, you can use Geeky10. And I know that the books that were in the most recent previews magazine have dropped on the website as well. And he's just put a ton of back issues there as well, which I have picked up quite a few. And I believe or not, there might be a little bit of a cheeky discount as well with regards to some buy one, get one free that I may or may not be allowed to tell you about. But
he also had news on this week as well about the fact he can't get the exclusives now, store variant exclusives, due to some issues with the transport of everything. So it's a bit of a shame, really. He had some absolute belters on the.
He did, and you know what? That's the thing, that there's plenty of them still on the site as far as when I last had a look. And I think there might be a little bit of a buy one get one free offer there. So I would definitely suggest you jump over and have a look at the website. I've actually just picked up that Suicide Squad issue number 1 cover, which I think is absolutely stunning. And I know that he's still doing these crates as well. So I would highly recommend that you go and pick them up. But do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to jump back into the chat and have a little look to see who we have. And we have Dave Collects. Yeah. How's it going, my friend? I'm your host today, Dave, so I hope you're not too disappointed. Charlie and Tom isn't able to make tonight, so it's myself and it's my good friend, the Noob, who are going to be taking you through tonight's show. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. And we can always rely on good old Fuzzy Donlop joining us. How's it going, Fuzzy? Thanks for joining us. We appreciate you. So, Sean, I know that you catch the show normally in the Rewind. You're normally working in the evening, so you normally catch it in the Rewind on your 75-inch television. So we do a little bit of a road to Thought Bubble. So without further ado, I'm just going to drop that intro. I can't get enough of that intro. It's my favorite.
It's Mr. Bean meets Laurel and Hardy. It's
see when Thought Bubble's over, I want to keep playing that intro every single week to the next Thought Bubble, which is going to be obviously 2022. So
set as your ringtone.
Good idea, my friend. But without further ado, the road to Thought Bubble. I think we're 5 weeks away until the big event.
It's flying in, and I genuinely cannot wait to get there. It'll be interesting because I can't wait to get there, but I don't know if I'll remember any of it by the time I get home. So
I think if you remember any of it, I'll be quite disappointed, to be honest with you, because I know that me and you are traveling together from Northern Ireland to Leeds, and that'll be interesting. If we get on the flight, that'll be a Brucey bonus. If we get off the flight without getting arrested, that'll be another Brucey bonus. So let's keep our fingers crossed. But yes, the creator spotlight for this week is the one, the only Declan Shalvey, who is one of my favourite creators, artists, cover artists, and writers. And he is from good old Ireland. So he's from this neck of the woods. And Declan, you've probably known him from a lot of his covers that he's done, which I'm going to go into in a little bit more detail. But he's worked for the likes of Marvel. He's done stuff like Moon Knight, Thunderbolts, Deadpool. He's done stuff for Image Comics. He's done stuff with Warren Ellis on Injection, which is a fantastic series. And he's done his own graphic novels like Savage Town and Bog Bodies, which I cannot recommend enough. Definitely pick up Bog Bodies. I know that I've recommended it to you, Sean. I don't know if you've managed to pick it up yet.
Not yet. It's on the list. Coffee and Heroes had a copy of it in, and I didn't have the money with me to buy it. And then I went to go and get the following week, and it was gone. So reorder it again. Well,
I know that obviously Declan's gone Thought Bubble, so I'm sure he's going to have one or two of them there. You can probably pick it up and get it signed when it's there. But
100%.
I put Declan's Instagram there, so he's Declan Shalvey, and the same for his Twitter as well. And I can't recommend enough that you sign up for his newsletter that comes out. I think it's once a week, once every 2 weeks. And it's fantastic. It gives a real insight into the work that he's doing. And you normally get little tidbits of information that doesn't normally go out in the public domain. So I would definitely suggest that you try and pick it up. Just going to take a quick pick stop and look at the chat. So David saying, never disappointed to see me. Oh, bless you. Absolute bless you.
Such a
GP's in the house. Yes. GP's in the house. Fancy seeing you lot here. I know, GP. What's it like? So yeah, without further ado, Declan Shalvey. I'm going to try and show you some of the books that you might not be aware that he's actually done and been involved in, and it'll hopefully give you a bit of an idea of, maybe books that for anybody that is going to Thought Bubble that you want to pick up to try and get signed when you are there. So first up is this absolute banger, 28 Days Later. So this, did you even realise that this was Declan that done the art on this book, Sean?
No, I didn't. To be honest with you, I actually didn't even know it was a comic.
Really?
I didn't know it had a comic format of it. No, I'm a massive fan of the movies. 28 Weeks Later and 28 Days Later. Sorry, and it's fantastic movies, but didn't know it at all. So maybe something I have a read of.
listen, the artwork in this is absolutely superb. This was actually one of the first books that I picked up as a collector. It's from Boom Studios, and this goes back to 2009. And this was a 24 issue run. I'm a little bit disappointed they didn't do 28 issues just for my OCD to tie in with the 28 days later. But I might ask Declan about that, why that wasn't the case. But I can't recommend this enough. Even the covers of this are absolutely stunning. This is cover A for issue number 1. But if you go to League of Comic Geeks, which is kind of my go-to to look up different creators, have a look at some of the covers on this. They're absolutely superb. And I would imagine you'll be able to pick up these in the back bins without too much trouble.
Yeah, I'd say so. I don't think it. I mean, it's not. I sort of look at Key Collector app quite a bit, and I haven't noticed anything like this on there. But like I said, I didn't even know this was a comic. So
yeah, that's what normally happens. Is it? As soon as it goes on the Key Collector app, everybody buys it and probably doesn't even read it. That's the annoying thing. But yeah, this I can't recommend this highly enough. I think I've got issue number 1 and 2. And yeah, I'll definitely be looking to pick up the rest of the issues if I find them in the back bins. Next up, and this is another. I'm going to keep saying these are absolute bangers because they are absolutely, every one of them is superb. This is Moon Knight from this is issue number 1 cover by Declan, and this was a 2014 run. And have you read this series at all, Sean?
No, I've got the new series, which it's crap. It's not been great.
But have you not been enjoying it then? No. Is that your official review then, Sean?
It's my official review. We had the first. I've got the first 3. Won't be reading anymore.
Really?
Yeah, Marvel for me just don't do it. I mean, the only Marvel books that I actually enjoy reading are obviously others other than Star Wars is Thor and Daredevil. Yeah. That's it.
Daredevil, yeah, absolutely. Well, Declan's done some Daredevil as well. You should definitely check that out. But if you want a really good Moon Knight run, this, in my humble opinion, is probably the best Moon Knight run that you can get, especially with the movie that's going to be coming out soon. I believe that Declan done the art for 8 issues, and he done the cover art for all 17 issues that come out. I've seen the original artwork for this. And it is absolutely stunning. Like whenever you see it in real life with the actual inks on it, lovely, absolutely beautiful.
I hear that obviously I haven't read any other Moon Knight stuff other than the most recent ones, but I hear the older storylines are 100 times better. So definitely, so I will get around to reading them at some point or other, especially before. I don't know if it's a TV show or movie that's been made. I can't remember off the top of my head.
Yeah, I think it's a movie, isn't it? Chat, tell me if I'm right or wrong. I'm almost sure it's a movie, but Mark is saying here that the Moon Knight cover is stunning and the original, love it. Yeah, you should check out the other covers that Declan's done for this one. They are absolutely fantastic. So that was Moon Knight, and next up is one that we mentioned earlier. This is Injection, and Injection was a 15-issue run, and this was done with Warren Ellis, and Declan done the art and the cover art. And Jordi Belair done the colours for this, and honestly, this again is probably one of my favourite runs that Declan's been involved in. I'll just read the synopsis. You can obviously read it there. But once upon a time, there was 5 crazy people, and they poisoned the 21st century. Now they have to deal with the corrosion to try and save us all from a world becoming too weird to support human life. Like if that doesn't intrigue you, then nothing will.
But the first thing which stands out to me is always the cover. If a cover grabs me, then I'll read the synopsis. So cover first, synopsis second, and the cover of that's a type of cover where I look at it and go, actually.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. I think there was a couple of variants for this. There's a really fantastic sort of virgin white covered variant, and it's got sort of embossed. It's like that raised embossed feel about it. That's a real stunner. I've got that in my collection. But Mark has just confirmed for us that it is a TV show. So thank you, Mark. And I'm really looking forward to that. It looks superb. And yeah, this was 2015. So I've sort of tried to do it sort of chronologically for everybody as his career progressed. And next up, and I know this is one that you'll be a fan of, Sean, but a big Batman fan. This is All-Star Batman from 2016. This was the run that he done with Scott Snyder, and Declan done the pencils, the inks, and the variant covers for this run. So I think he done 5 variant covers. and he done the pencils and inks for about 14 of the issues, I believe. You've read some of this, Sean, haven't you?
I've actually got this, but I've got the variant covers of it, so I've got the whole run, and it's a fantastic storyline. Fantastic. It's when I got it, I actually just blitzed through. I think it's what 10 is it 10 issues? I can't remember off the top of my head. But I remember when I read it, I just read the whole thing almost in one sitting.
Yeah, it was Scott Snyder stuff's really like that a lot of the time. These are fantastic if you kind of pick up the single issues, just to pick up the graphic novels and read it all in one sitting. I think All-Star Batman was 14 issues, I think, in total.
There wasn't an awful lot. You might be right. I just remember it was double figures, but it was low double figures, so there wasn't too many of them. It was enough where I think I read them. Wouldn't be fully over one sitting. I think it was in the one day, but it was over maybe two sittings because it was off. So
I'm going to be completely transparent. I only picked up the Jock covers for this. Of course I did. That was the ones I did, and I think I have one or two of Declan's. So having went through and had a look at all the covers for this that Declan done, I'm going to try and pick up the other three that he done. So next up we have again another absolutely fantastic series, The Punisher. And this is the cover that he done for issue number 1. This is back in 2016. And this was written by Becky Cloonan, which she is an absolutely fantastic writer. And this was a 17-issue run. And Declan done the cover art for all 17 issues. Have you read any of this at all, Sean?
No, not read any Punisher books at all.
No?
Apparently, though, they're very good.
Listen, even if it's just a cover by for these are absolutely stunning. Again, I've seen the original pencil and inks for this particular cover, and until you see it up close, you don't get to fully appreciate it. So, if you haven't read any Punisher, this would probably be my go-to to kick off with.
Noted.
Next up, now this is one of his sort of the ones that he's written himself. He done this with Philip Barrett. This is in 2017, and this is called Savage Town. Now, there was two reasons why I picked this up back in the day, and it was one, the cover, and number two was the little bit of a synopsis that it gave about it. It says, in Limerick City, Jimmy Hardy Savage is a gangster on the rise, facing trouble from all sides, with the local cops, rival gangs, his best mate and his mammy all out to stick a knife in him. Will the bollocks live long enough to get to the top? More importantly, will he pay me back for that $5 I gave him last week? An original Irish graphic crime novel. They'll leave you gasping for a pint. Like, drop the mic there.
Just take my money.
Honestly,
it's the anachronisms. It's the way it's all worded. It's like me walking out onto the street and hearing somebody slobber. It's the word. It's perfect grammar, Belfast Irish grammar.
And that's the thing. It's like being living in Ireland for the last 16 years. I was able to understand all what that meant, and it just if you haven't picked this up, even if you're not Irish or from Ireland, you probably need a little bit of an explanation as to some of the words that are used in it. But it's a fantastic story, and it's one of the best things that I think Declan's done.
I wouldn't mind actually reading that. That sounds like it'd be decent. I'm trying to think of the Irish gangster show that's on TV. It's the way the tracksuit top.
That's exactly what it looks like, isn't it? Yeah. Sean, I think you have that tracksuit. To be fair, I'm sure you have that. No,
it's for my Thursday evening go out.
The less we say about that, the better. But just going to double check on the chat here, and we'll be joined by a Lord Chucks. How is it going, my friend? Thank you so much for joining us. And look who we have. We have Tom. Oi, stopped up the services for a KFC and thought I would stick you guys on whilst away. We appreciate it. Giving us a watch and nibbling on his chicken.
Chicken for his gains.
You can't, you can't get better than that. And we have Comics Talk Weekly in the house. How's it going, my friend? Thank you so much for joining us. Phil, you've got me hosting, so this could go horribly wrong, but let's see how it goes. So let me see. Next up, we have my personal favourite. I picked up the ash can at the last Thought Bubble a couple of years ago. This is Bog Bodies, and this was written, and the cover art is by Declan, and the art inside is by Gavin Fullerton. So I actually have my copy here, and I can't recommend this enough.
Is that only released in 2020? I thought it was an older book.
No, 2020 is when this is the original graphic novel, and then I think they re-released Bog Bodies. So there's like almost like a second print. But there is an Ashcan that you can pick up, which is quite hard to find. I don't think there was that many printed. So if you're on the lookout for that, definitely have a look. Again, when it comes to writing like synopsis, a little bit of blurbs about the book, I think Declan's probably one of the best at it. This is an Irish gangster on the run after a job gone wrong, stumbles upon a young woman lost in the Dublin mountains, injured and unarmed. The unlikely pair must try to evade their punishers and survive the desolate bog that has served as a burial ground for unspeakable murder throughout history.
Yeah.
Boom.
Again, sold. It is on my list, so it's very high on my list to actually get. I just need to try and get a copy of it, And it's not expensive. It's not a big book from what I've seen as well. So
you can pick this up, in your LCS, absolutely no problem. I'm sure Coffee and Heroes and Belfast has it, and
it did. I remember looking at it, thinking to myself, it's actually not a thick book.
No, there's no huge amount of reading in it, but like the artwork is stunning in it. So, and it'll be one of those ones. If there was any Declan books, it would be this one and Savage Town. If you pick those up, I would imagine you'll try and seek out all the other stuff that he's done. Let me see who we got here in the chat. It's just mission control here, guys. I've literally got two screens open here, and trying to keep everything on the show on the road.
Lord Chuck's
Bong hits for me. I'm raising a little toast here on a school night as well, of all things. So cheers.
I'm on medication. There's no hard stuff for me.
there's no alcohol for you on a school night.
I'm not even supposed to be drinking this, but I just went screw it. So
go for it, mate. What's the worst that can happen? But yes, Bog Bodies. Can't recommend this enough. And the next one I wanted to put on, and this is the second last one that I have. This is The Art of Declan Shalvey. So I managed to pick this up when he was doing the release of this down in Dublin. This was released in 2020, and this basically shows all the cover art and the interior art that Declan's done for Marvel. And there's not a huge amount of creators that have their own art book. So I think this is kudos to Declan and the quality of the work that he's done. So this is in a slightly bigger format. It's like one of those like prestige formats that are a little bit bigger than that. Mm-hmm. And it shows everything from his Moon Knight, his Deadpool, Daredevil, and Return of the Wolverine run, plus everything else that he's done for Marvel. So I can't recommend that highly enough. Go and check that out. The last one that I've got on the list, guys, is a more recent one, and one that we've spoke about very highly on the Killer Comics show. Is Time Before Time, and this was only released this year, and this was written by Declan and Rhoda McConville, and Declan done the cover art for the issues as well. Sean, I know that you've been reading it. I think you've actually got this as one of your pickups.
It is. It's on my pull list, so it's fantastic. I've only read the first three. I think I've got the fourth one there somewhere. But yeah, it was one of those ones that pleasantly surprised me. It wasn't what I was expecting, so it was an interesting take on a time travel sort of story. So yeah, I'm thoroughly enjoying it, to be honest with you. And to be honest with you, I'm very hit and miss when it comes to any time travel type of things, because let's be honest, there's a lot of bad stories out there done with time travel. So
I loved how original this was. I think that's what caught me, because I was a little bit like you. It's like how original can they make another time travel story? But I think this absolutely nailed it. So definitely want to try and pick up. I think it's at issue number 5 at the minute.
It's the artwork as well, and I like it's not so it's not so fine or anything. It's basic, but it does the job so well. So it's the whole book's just brilliant. I think it's fantastic.
It's absolutely superb. I'd highly recommend it. As I say, I think it's issue 5, and I think the first trade paperback will be coming out as well. So I think this would be a fantastic story to read all in one as well. So yeah, definitely one to pick up. So that's Declan Shalvey. That's our creator spotlight for Declan. I'm hoping that anybody who does see any of these books tries to go and pick them up and give them a read. As I said, my two personal favourites are Bog Bodies and Savage Town. And if you are going to Thought Bubble, definitely try and go and say hello to Declan. And if we're really lucky, we might be able to get Declan on the show at some point. So if you're watching the rewind, Declan, we'll get you on the show and we'll buy you a pint at Thought Bubble. So there we go. Where are we now? So that's our creator spotlight. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix it up a little bit here. And I'm normally myself, Charlie, and Tom will show off some covers and some books that we've bought. And I know that I've got a lot to show off, but I'm going to try and keep it to maybe 5 or 6. Sean, I know that I asked you to go grab some of your pickups. So do you want to maybe show a few of yours off and then we'll go into mine?
Yeah, sure. I'll go through a few of mine. I sort of restricted myself a bit because there was quite a lot over the last few weeks. So the first one I've got is Superman, Son of Kal-El, issue 3. And it's done by Tom Taylor. Now, I know I'm normally of the same opinion as you when it comes to Superman stuff. You know, I quite like the movies and TV show. The TV show is fantastic. But this actually is a very good Superman book. But Tom Taylor is a good writer. So if anyone's going to make a good Superman book, it's going to be him. Next up, Radiant Black.
I'll take your word for it though.
Next up was Radiant Black.
Another book that I haven't been reading. Is it any good?
It's fantastic. It's sort of, I wouldn't say it's not slow moving at the start, but it throws a twist out. I think issue 5 or 6, can't remember, but it completely turns it on its head, and the story just becomes so much bigger and so much better. And if you haven't read it and you think after the first couple, it's not really, give it a chance. It's one of those ones, if you stick with it, it improves as it goes on. And then
I think we read issue number 1 for the Killer Comics show, and I don't think we read any others after that. So I might try and pick them up. Issue
1, I have to admit, I always read issue 1, and I'll always read issue 2, just to see if it does get better, and it does. And it's one of those ones that does progressively get better as it gets into it. It really does.
Oh,
next up, King Spawn, issue 1 and 2.
I haven't picked that up yet. I must, Tom, if you're still in the chat, can you put me down for issue number 1 and 2, please? Thank you. That's service for you.
Definitely not. This one I haven't read yet at all. Last Flight Out.
Do you know, I think is that issue number 1?
It's issue number 1, yeah.
I think that actually went like bananas on eBay after it was released. I think a lot of people tried to pick that up.
Within the first week, I mean, that's what, £3.80. Within the first week, it jumped up to £10. So I don't know why. I haven't read it yet, but as soon as I seen it, like I said, it's a cover that grabbed me, and I just thought, look great, just get it. Issue 1, why not?
Cool.
Primordial, which I haven't read either, but it's Jeff Lemire.
Jeff Lemire, we reviewed it for the Killer Comics, and I gave it a killer rating. I thought it was absolutely fantastic, so I think you'll really enjoy it.
Yep, and then obviously Time for Time, number 5.
Cool.
Only 2 more. Well, 3 more, including one thing I'll show you in a moment. Made in Korea, number 4.
Now we're talking.
So it's a fantastic story. It really, really is. And then the book that we're reading a little bit later.
Crossover. Nice.
Crossover. Issue 8.
Lovely.
And one last thing that I picked up, which took a year to come.
Oh, let me make you big there, Sean. Let me make you big. Hold on.
That is my first ever signature slab. Department of Truth issue 2. Jason Sean Alexander Virgin, signed by Tinian and Jason Sean Alexander himself. So the long time coming. Was it 10 months? 10 months I was waiting on it coming. So a long time.
There was no hairs or any other.
No, there is now.
Well, it's not yours.
Obviously not. Well, not off my head.
So is that your stash then?
That's my stash. Well, I'm not going to go through the rest. But yes, that's my stash.
I was going to say I seen the bundle that you had. I've got quite a few here. I've picked up some back issues. I've been on a bit of a splodge on back issues. So as a huge Todd McFarlane fan, I want to try and pick up all of his covers if I can. And this is Conan the Barbarian, issue 241. And not a lot of people appreciate and realize that Todd done this particular cover. But this is a really nice copy of this that I managed to pick up on the Evil Bay, which I'm really happy with. Next up, Lord Chuck's there approves of your slab there, Sean. It is an absolute beauty. Next up, we have the Super Friends issue number 1. And this is good. This is actually gone up in price at the minute. There's a few first appearances of this. I think this is based on the original cartoon. I've got a couple of issues, but this is the big one here. Next up, and you've probably seen this on my Instagram, so anybody that's not following me on Instagram, please feel free to do so. I'm at perpetual.comics, and that's where I'm mostly active, and I put up all the books that I pick up. So
I may have to follow you then. Hang on.
What do you mean, unblock me? As well as being a big Todd McFarlane fan, I also love J. Scott Campbell. And speaking of J. Scott Campbell, we've got his biggest fan in the chat. We've got James from Comic Deal here. How is it going, my friend? Thank you for we have 2/3 of Panels and Pints. We're just missing the key man. Soon, my friend. Next up, we have this. So this is Gen 13, issue number 12, and this is quite a sought after cover as well for various reasons, but mostly because it's J. Scott Campbell. But this is another nice addition to my collection for that one. And speaking of J. Scott Campbell, we have Gen 13. This is issue number 1, but this is the second printing. And this is quite a tough book to get, especially in this condition. This is in minty fresh condition. So happy enough to pick that up. You'll like this one. Destroyer Duck, issue number 1. First appearance of Destroyer Duck. I'm so happy to have this in my collection. I've completely changed my collecting habits. I used to collect a lot of like new stuff that would come out, and try to I'd be a bit of a completionist. So once I buy the first 2 issues, I need to buy them all. So I've just started buying what I like. Life's too short. So Destroyer Duck issue number 1, my friend.
What the? I'm trying not to swear.
After the show, go Google it. Another J. Scott Campbell book. This is Danger Girl. This is the special issue number 1. And this is like 1999 J. Scott Campbell artwork. So happy enough to get that in the collection. I'm just going to check the chat here. There we go. Phil approves of my Destroyer Duck. Mark is dropping the knowledge here. The first appearance of Gru. And so is Hobgoblin's Hideaway. That's the first Gru, isn't it? Yeah. First Gru for that one. So nice. And I think Lord Chucks approves of my Gen 13 collection there. A couple more, guys, if that's okay. Moon Girl and Dinosaur. This is issue number 2. So this is the book that I could afford. This is the second appearance of Moon Girl in comics. And then I have issue number 15. And this is when she first met Riri Ironheart. So that's the only 2 books that I've got of this whole collection, this whole run. Last but very, very much not least is Fantastic Four. And this is issue number 30. And I think this is the first cover appearance of Marvel Zombies, or Zombies in Marvel. So, put this up. And then there's that. That's the David Ayer 40th anniversary 2000 AD cover. I picked this up to get David to sign it at Thought Bubble, but unfortunately it was announced today that he's not going to be there because of restrictions and stuff like
that. That deserves a frame.
Yeah, it's an absolutely beautiful book, and you can pick it up for $3.99 on the 2000 AD website, same as I did. I mean, it wasn't an expensive book, so definitely want to go and check out.
Have you got $3.99?
That's true. Not anymore because I just spent it, mate. I just spent it. So yeah, that's the books that we've been picking up. Next up, what do we normally do after this? Let me think. We've done that. Can't remember what we do. Oh yeah, That's what we do. We do our killer covers. So killer covers, I believe that we only have 2 this week. So normally we have myself and Charlie, and we have Tom who pick our covers. But I don't think I've got Tom's cover. So Tom, if you are in the chat, my friend, let me know what your cover was going to be, because I don't have it. So these are obviously all the cover out of all the covers that came out at New Comic Book Day yesterday. We've scoured previews and we've picked out our favourite. And my favourite and my pick is this absolute stunner from Sun Kaminaki. This is the Wonder Woman 80th anniversary 100-page super spectacular issue number 1, and this is the Virgin variant B cover. Ladies and gentlemen, feast your eyes on this cover. It is absolutely stunning. Now, obviously, this is a Virgin cover. It's a little bit more expensive, but you can buy it as a normal B cover with the Wonder Woman logo behind it. Sean, what's your thoughts?
I'm trying to hang on.
Can you roll your mouth back up there, Sean?
Yeah, it's stunning. It really is stunning cover. Like, I mean, you can only imagine how long it takes them to actually draw something like that with that level of detail and shading. It's just, yeah.
I'm a bit of a sucker when it comes to Wonder Woman covers at the best of time. Joshua Middleton is normally my go-to. Whenever he does a cover for Wonder Woman, they're normally spectacular. And as soon as I seen this in previews, I was like, I have to pick this up. It's a cover by, pure and simple. It's not something that I'd probably read, to be fair. But I think this is an absolute beauty. So in the chat, let us know what you think of the covers that we're picking up. This was my pick. And next up, again from DC, we've actually got another Wonder Woman. So I think Charlie picked this one. And he's going with the Natalie Sanders variant A for the same book. Again, I can't say this isn't another stunning cover, Sean.
Yep, 100%. It's I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I know you're not going to like me for saying this, but I actually prefer this one to the other one.
Sean, thanks for coming on. I know that you're busy and you've got stuff to do, and no, I'm all joking. No, listen, I'm not going to lie. I think I like this cover a little bit better as well. It does remind me a lot of J. Scott Campbell's work. It looks a lot like that. But yeah, I mean, it's absolutely beautiful. It's absolutely stunning. Normally, what we would do, Sean, is we would put up a little voting thing on the YouTube, but I can't be bothered doing that. So. Just give me
you can't have Charlie win for the first time.
Well, that's true. There's that as well. But in the chat, guys, if you just put A for my cover and B for Charlie's cover, let us know which one you thought was the best. And if Charlie's win, I'll completely ignore you. So yeah, just hit A or B in the chat. Let us know what you think, and we'll go from there. So as I say, guys, we've only chosen 2 covers. For our cover picks here. Look, Dave knows what it's all about. Dave's in. GP, come on, GP, come on. Dave's in with an A, so we've got 2 for A. Wesley, welcome. Yeah, Wesley knows what it's all about. There we go. Tim knows exactly what it's all about. He's going for 8. Leon, we're friends.
And see the thing is, the ones they're all coming about, they all have the certain trend where we're talking about earlier on, so
right, okay, yeah.
So I'm thinking maybe that's affected their eyesight a little
bit. They don't know what they're saying. Chucks has went for B, so we've got a tie here. It's 3-all. Sean, your vote doesn't count. So if we've got more than 3 people, if we've got more than 6 people in the chat, can somebody please vote? Next vote wins. Mark, I knew I could rely on you, my friend. Guys, that's it. I've officially won. That's the last of the voting. Thank you very much for that. I appreciate you, Mark. And your check will be in the post.
Awesome.
But
they're 2 beautiful covers. So yeah.
No, they absolutely are stunning. So that's our killer covers for this week. Next up, we are going to go into our reviews for week 39. So as normal, guys, we pick a book each. So I picked Gun Honey, which is by the fantastic Charles Arday, and the artwork was by Ang Hor Kiang. I hope I'm pronouncing that, and apologies if I'm not. Some stunning covers for this book. The first cover here is this shown as the main cover, but I think the third printing is the main cover, but just not with the red writing or the sort of foil writing on it.
Did this make actually a third printing?
Yeah, because it's been so popular. I think a lot of it's to do with the fantastic Adam Hughes artwork on the cover. This cover, the main cover, as it's shown here, is Bill Sienkiewicz, which is the cover that I opted for. We've got a variant cover by Robert McGuinness. We've got the fantastic Ivan Teal with a superb variant cover there. I just love how they're all completely different, and they've shown like their own imagination for what this Gun Honey should look like. What do you think? What's your favorite cover there, Sean?
Actually, I like the main cover, Bill Sienkiewicz.
I'm with you.
I think it's that one.
Yeah.
It's got that sort of the femme fatale sort of look about it, and that appeals to my sensibilities. With that, I mean, it's covers wise.
You like femme fatales, do you, Sean?
I like femme fatales.
Okay, very nice. So I appreciate, Sean, that I asked you to read this in 30 minutes along with the two other books. So bless you for doing that. Dave collects is a third print. He likes a third print for this. There's actually a foil edition of that cover that you can get from Forbidden Planet, which I have on order, which is absolutely stunning. So Sean, I'm maybe going to let you kick off as you're the guest. Go easy. Give me your thoughts on Gun Honey.
Why did you make me read this tonight?
Wow.
I'm normally not too harsh a critic when it comes to books, but this one, it just didn't appeal to me at all. It just, I don't know why. It was almost like it's a run-of-the-mill Nikita type story. So,
did you just say run of the mill? No
Nikita.
Way was this book run. This was not run of the mill at all.
No, this was. I'm sort of thinking along the lines of it was a standard where she gets trained by her father, which you find out later on in the book, who ignores her brothers and to do what she does. You don't realize how young she actually is in the book. She's only 19, I think, if memory serves me, and she's already this like worldwide renowned hit woman, so to speak. But from what I've noticed is she actually doesn't do any of the killing. She gets other people to do the killing for her in a way that's set up. So she sort of plants.
Yeah. So effectively, she's a gun smuggler. That's what her role is. So she smuggles guns into. I think it mentioned in the book that she once smuggled a gun into the Vatican, of all places. And the main character is called Joanna Tan. Yeah. And as you said, she's the classic sort of femme fatale. She's clearly beautiful. She's got huge amounts of confidence. She's got even a little bit of swagger in this book as well. Yeah. And I must admit, I really enjoyed this book. I loved the way that as soon as you opened up the first page, you were banging straight into the action. Obviously, she was going on to this big fancy yacht that she'd been invited onto. But little did the person who owned the boat know that she was actually trying to get asked to come on the boat so that she could actually plant the gun that would eventually mean that he met his death. So was it the writing? Was it the art? What was it?
I don't know. I suppose it's setting its premise of what she does and how she goes about doing it and things like that. But it's sort of, I like my comics to be a little bit believable to an extent when it comes to these sort of stories. And the fact that she's just sitting on a beach out of maybe hundreds of people, yet beautiful women, yet she's the one that is to be picked, expected to be picked out of them all. Now, don't get me wrong, the way the artwork is done in this, she's stunning it, absolutely stunning it. And like you said, it's got great assets. But it's just that for me, having that as a start off and for her just to be picked, after that point, I was just like, I'm not going to think of anything more about the story. It just lost me.
I'm so surprised with it. I thoroughly enjoyed that. The artwork was absolutely spot on, as you said.
Artwork
I thought
wise, fantastic.
yeah, it was great. The writer for this, Charles Ardai, he's known for writing novels. So I normally find somebody who's used to writing books it can be quite a jump getting into comic books. But for me, I thought it landed really well. I thought the characters were believable. I thought they were well thought out. I'd like to find out a little bit more about the main character, and hopefully issue 2 and issue 3 will build upon that.
I think when it gets further into it, might flesh it out a bit more. I might enjoy it a bit more. It's just that for a first issue, it just, I don't know why, it just didn't grab me. It was just, I just didn't enjoy it.
It had a definite James Bond feel. It definitely had a James Bond feel from the get go. I'm gonna have a look at. I don't know if anybody in the chats maybe read this and what they thought of it. James is in here. How else do they test the effectiveness of bulletproof pulp? Maybe yeah, good point. And GP agrees. That is a good point. James is saying nobody thinks of these things. Oh, there we go.
Well, James thinks of these things. James thinks of these things.
So what we normally do, Sean, is I'm sure you're aware, we do is it a killer or is it a binner? So in the 30 minutes that you had to consume this will you be reading this again? Will you go to issue 2? And what did you think of this issue? Was it a killer or was it a binner?
I'm going to go with binner because I'm not going to read any more of it.
Is that
if I can't get past the first issue, and like I said earlier in the stream, that I typically give up to 2 issues. If I can't get past the first issue, I'm going to put it down as a binner.
Right. Okay. So that's fair enough. That's fair enough. For me, there was parts of the comic that weren't to my taste, and that's the same with lots of comics. But I think this is a really solid first issue. I think there was a lot of hype about this book, specifically because of that Adam Hughes cover. People took notice of the book and were just buying the book for the cover alone. But I think if you give this book a read, I think people will enjoy it, especially if you like that sort of pulp fiction, sort of pulp noir sort of storytelling.
It has a movie, TV show written all over it.
I think so. I think there's definitely something there, and I think Charles is aware of that. I think he's definitely got that sort of thought process, especially the way the panels and the storytelling. You can almost see it as it was like transitioning, like almost a TV show or a movie. But for me, I definitely think this has got huge potential, and I hope that in the second issue we'll see a wee bit more character building, and a wee bit of see how it'll evolve. Obviously, the last panel we're introduced to this new character who may or may not be the baddie. We don't know. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. But for me, it was a killer. I'll definitely be picking up issue 2. And if anybody in the chat has read this, let me know. Mark is saying here that he hasn't read it yet, but it looks to have a good couple of things going for it. Definitely, I think you will enjoy this, Mark. It's definitely one that I enjoyed. It's probably not going to be my top pick this year, but it's one of those ones that it's an interesting enough read and it will keep you intrigued. I think issue 2 really needs to hit it out the park for me to keep me going for issue number 3. I think, like Sean, you're saying you're done after issue number 1. I think issue number 2 really needs to step it up and get the action going. But yeah, that was my pick of the week. That was Gun Honey issue number 1 by Charles Ardai and Ang Hor Kieng. Again, I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that correctly. We'll move on to the next book, which is Crossover issue number 8 by the fantastic Donny Cates and art by Jeff Shaw. Again, this was another book. We had a huge amount of covers. So we've got the main cover there by Jeff. We've got cover B. Was that done by Donny's wife? I think maybe that cover. I'm not 100% sure. Something in the chat can maybe tell me. We've got the superb John Gallagher variant, and then we have our friend of the show Alan Quay variant as well, which is
I love that Alan Quay one.
Absolutely superb. So obviously we had a little bit of a delay between issues, and we had the absolutely stunningly superb issue number 7 that Chip Zdarsky had written. So for me, I was really, I was was concerned that this wasn't going to do anything, but I must admit I was really pleasantly surprised. Sean, I know that you're obviously myself, you and James were doing crossing over with Comicdale.
Yeah.
What did you think of issue 8?
Well, I mean, like you said, issue 7, I really loved issue 7 of Chip Zdarsky. Obviously what goes on with him, and I like how it sort of links in. There's a little bit of this in this issue that links back to talks about Chip Zdarsky. I can't even say his name. Sorry, it's the code.
That's the medication.
Yeah, it's trying to get out of the code. But I think there's one big issue I have with this, or two. One is the length of time between the issues, waiting on it coming out. I had to go back and read a couple of the earlier issues to sort of bring myself back up. I kind of remembered most of everything that went on, but read so much in between that it was hard to try, and sort of get that flow going again when I was reading this. The other issue I have with this is the fact it's short. My God, it's a short book. I mean, I finished it. I mean, to be fair, some of the other issues on this were really, really short as well. But this one was just like, what the?
Do you not think that's testament sometimes to a good book, though, Sean? That
it is. You can fly through it. It's so easy to read. It is.
Yeah,
it is so easy to read
because it's so well written and the artwork is so fluid that you can just, before you know it, that you've read the whole book. And I think it's because you want more. I think because this is such an easy read that you just want to consume more and more and more of it.
And that was the problem I had with it. It was just. It was over, and it's the way it ended as well. It was like, what's going on? But I'm not going to take it away from the fact I actually did enjoy it for all that was in it. The one part I did particularly like was the beginning, where it goes and let's give synopsis, and it shows you the whole comic run.
Genius, absolutely genius. I thought that was great, and I read this digitally, so I was like, zooming in to look at all the panels and stuff like that. But I thought that was absolutely genius. I don't think I've ever actually seen that in a comic before, but it's like meanwhile, and it literally shows the last 7 issues, all the panels of every single page of those issues. So I thought that was absolutely fantastic.
I'm the same as you. I've seen it digitally only, so I haven't actually seen it on the comic.
Yeah. Is it like a double page? I'm assuming they've probably done a. Yeah. Can I make you big? Hold on 1 second. Can it? Let me see if I can do that. Yeah. So literally it shows every panel of every single issue, which is absolutely superb.
Fantastic. It really is.
GP Venom saying here that he hasn't read this since issue 2. And you know what? I can kind of get you on that one, JP, but I would highly recommend you give it a go. I know that the trade is out for, I think, issue 1 to 5 or maybe 1 to 6.
1 to 6, I think it is.
Yeah, 1 to 6, isn't it? That's the first arc. I would definitely recommend you try and pick it up. It's definitely worth a read. It's not, I don't think you're going to have to think too much when you're reading this. I think you can just sit down and enjoy it, which is a great thing. Comicdale is saying here, I liked how the one just kept apologizing for the chips issue. Yeah, I love the humour in this. You can just tell that you can just imagine all these guys going out for a pint and just like talking comics and just having a crack. I thought it was great. They literally reprinted most of it in this issue. Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah. So for me, I loved it. I was a little bit like GP after maybe issue 4, where I was just like, oh, where's this going? And do I really want to keep going with this? And I did actually take it off my pull list and I put it back on after issue number 7 and picked up the issues that I had missed. I just love the way that it keeps moving forward all the time. It doesn't kind of each issue takes you that little bit closer to somewhere where you don't actually know where it's going. And I don't even know if Donnie knows where it's going at this stage. But
I think God knows where he's going with it. Let's be honest.
Yeah, he's just kind of having fun with it. It's definitely going to strength to strength. And I think that it's more like this issue was a lot more character based for me. You were getting to learn a little bit more about the characters. And I'm sure we can do spoilers for it anyway. That last page where we see his dad coming back into the fray. I think that's what everybody was wanting, because they want to find out what
he's the character that was missing from the last 2 or 3 books. if memory serves me. It was, and he's the character that sort of intrigues me most. It's almost like that Footloose type character where the evil reverend's trying to stop something from happening and all the rest of it. So it's
So for you, Sean, is it a killer or a binner?
Well, I said at the beginning before the show that I was actually thinking about taking this off my pull list, but the more I keep talking about it, the more I realised I actually enjoyed it a lot more than I thought.
It just keeps dragging you back in, doesn't it? That's true, Donny Cates. Yeah.
And the fact that it does that means it's going to be a killer.
Nice. I'm absolutely with you in that, Sean. I think this was a killer issue. I think this had a lot to live up to meet and exceed issue number 7, and I think it did. I think it was up there and at par with issue number 7 for me. And for me, it's testament that it's still on my pull list. So I'm really, really enjoying this, and I'm hoping with James in the chat that we can kick off crossing over with Comic Deal again, because I really enjoyed the breakdowns. I think we should definitely do that. But whilst James ponders that, JP has just confirmed that he's going to get the trade. Definitely get the trade, JP. Go and slide into Tom's DMs and he'll sort you out. He'll be able to get it for you. And we've got Stan Collectors Universe in the house. Thank you very much for joining. We appreciate you. And yeah, there we go. Just when I thought I was out, he pulls me back in. Love that movie. But yes, that was that was Crossover, issue number 8 by Donny Cates and art by Jeff Shaw. Next up, we have Deathstroke Inc., issue number 1. This was Tom's pick, and this was written by Joshua Williamson and art by Howard Porter. Some nice covers. We've got the main cover here, which I loved, but it no way was it any better than Francesco Mattina's cover.
I was just going to say that cover is just phenomenal.
And I must admit, with Francesco's work, he actually makes me read these books that I wouldn't normally pick up because I pick them up first and foremost for the cover by. So yeah, stunning. And then we've got the Dima Ivanov cover E. And then we have the Francesco Mattina variant A. But I think the cardstock variant is the winner for me. Yeah. For me, I'm not going to lie, it wouldn't normally be a book that I would pick up. I don't have a huge affinity to Deathstroke. I don't know a lot of his background. But this was one of Tom's picks, and this is the beauty of the Killer Comic Show, because it makes you read these to find out and maybe broaden your comic horizons, as it were. I know that you've read it in the last 30 minutes there, Sean, so I know it's fresh in your mind and your memory, so I'm going to let you go as the guest and let the audience know what you thought of Deathstroke Inc.
I know I've read this tonight, but it's also an instantly forgettable story. So
you're so harsh.
I feel I have to be. I'm sorry. I don't come on Kiki Guys channel very often, so if I'm going to come on, I'm going to be honest, and unfortunately, I'm going to be brutally so with this.
Go for it.
I mean, you know me, mate. I love Batman. I love the DC Batman universe, and when Deathstroke's involved in it, it tends to be really good storylines when he's brought in. So obviously, whenever you recommend this, I've never read a Deathstroke comic on its own. Yeah. I wasn't even aware there was one on its own. I always thought he was maybe just a character. But as somebody that said to you earlier, I'm so used to Deathstroke being sort of that in-between character. He's not quite good, he's not quite evil. And with this, he's trying to say just on the side of right. And I just can't wrap my head around Deathstroke being that type of character, because he's never been that type of character before. And I think that's the problem I had with the whole book, the whole way through it, is him actually trying to come to terms that that's what he's trying to do. He's trying to make up for everything that he's done in the past. He's sort of that anti-hero, but also he's got that villain quality about him too, which I loved. But now the fact that he's just looking to go good, I was kind of like...
That's what intrigued me about this book, to be honest with you, Sean. That's what actually kept me reading on, because not knowing a huge amount about Slade Wilson and his whole background and stuff like that, it actually made me go and do a little bit of investigating to find out, what's this character all about. I mean, I had a rough idea, but the fact that he's got to the stage where he's just like suffered too many losses, and he's almost cutting his own losses, and he's going, right, okay, well, if it's not working for me being the bad guy, let me try and use what I can do to, help the good guys out. So it was obviously a time for a change, and I think of, would this make me go and read other Deathstroke related books? Probably not, but I think for new readers like me, I think this is a really good kicking off point.
The one good thing stands out in this is sense of humor. That's not been lost. There's a couple of bits in this that are, you're sitting there and it brings a smile to the face, because the way his quips and things like that. But other than that, it was a by the numbers sort of book, but with him being as a good guy rather than being that anti-hero, evil villain type character that he's best known for. I mean, I'm used to seeing him from I watched Arrow up until about 2-3 seasons ago, and when the Deathstroke storylines and that were fantastic, but this I just couldn't get my head around it, to be honest with you. And it's no disrespect to, is it Joshua Williamson's writer? It's just this. Well, there will be people out there that will absolutely love this. I'm just not one of them.
No, that's fair enough. I think the thing that will keep me interested in this is because I'm so new to Deathstroke and the character, and for me, the artwork in this was probably the best artwork out of the 3 books that we chose this week. I thought it was absolutely stunning. There was a particular panel, I think it was like the 3rd or 4th panel, where we get introduced to Deathstroke in the comic, and it's literally, the one where he's got the gun and it's just Deathstroke, the word Deathstroke behind him. And I was just blown away by that. I thought it was absolutely stunning.
Is it the Batmobile in this looks a bit off?
Yeah. I didn't quite get. I noticed that as well.
I never just cartoony.
I tried to turn a little bit of a blind eye to some of that. I was like, I don't quite get that. But yeah, I thought this was a really fun read. If a little bit predictable at some points. I think it had that, kind of a DC predictability about it. But I think, hands up to Tom for picking this. I think I actually will go and jump into issue number 2 just to see what happens with the characters. Whether it'll be one that we'll review, I'll just see what it's like.
I just love how many times they introduce new acronyms for different organizations, like trust.
Yes, yeah.
And you're just going, how many more is there going to be?
And that's the thing. That's the predictability of it. It's like, oh, here comes another acronym that you had to work out. What does that mean and all that good stuff. But we've got Dana1 in the chat. Thank you for joining, Dana. We appreciate you. So yeah, for you, Sean, killer or binner?
I'm on the fence on it because, I mean, don't get me wrong. Yes, I won't read anymore, and it wasn't an overly bad book by any stretch of imagination. It's not a complete binner,
but
no, I'm gonna. It's more a binner than a killer. I'm going to go with binner.
Okay, I am going to say this is a killer for me because I didn't expect it to be a killer. I went into this thinking, oh, this is just going to be another typical book, and I was pleasantly surprised. It opened my comic knowledge up to Deathstroke. It made me go and find out a little bit about the character, and I might be going down that sort of rabbit hole as to find out a little bit more about DC characters. So, God help me. But no, I thought this was a killer. So that was Deathstroke Inc. issue number 1 by Joshua Williamson and Howard Porter, and that is our reviews for last week. So we always work a week behind, so that's last week's reviews. So yeah, I think we've done all right with those reviews. I know we've got a few more sections that are coming up, and this one is normally done by our good friend Tom, where he picks his killer keys. So shall we just go straight into it, Sean?
Yeah.
Pick our killer keys. Let's do it. Killer keys, not quite mint. Killer keys. Now, full disclosure here, guys. I got these killer keys about what? We started at 9. I got them about 8:30. So I had to look up the key collector app to find out why these were killer keys. So we can all do that together as we read from the app as we go through these. So Forgive me for that. So what have we got? These are obviously the books that are coming out next week. So this will be releases for October 13th. So obviously any of these covers and any of these books that you see will be available at notquitemint.com. So definitely go and check those out. And if you can't do that, go to your LCS and make sure you support your local comic shop. So first up, we have Batman the Imposter, issue number 1. This is written by Mattson Tomlin and art by the fantastic Andrea Sorrentino. First off, Sean, I know you're a huge Batman fan. Is this one that was on your radar?
Yes, simply because I'm a massive Batman fan, much to James's disgust. It only fuels my love of Batman more. Pretty similar to my hatred of Usagi.
Oh, there's nothing wrong with Usagi. Leave that rabbit alone, you.
But no, in all honesty, I tend to read quite a lot of Batman. So, and I've read all the recent stuff, right the way back to New 52. I'm going to start going back into the earlier stuff, and just try and sort of just work my way back. The one thing that I'm worried about Batman a little bit is the fact that there seems to be a lot of side comics now starting to come out, different side shoots, and it's starting to get lost. I'm starting to get a little bit lost with what's what, but the one I'm looking forward to was this and the Jock one, which
the Jock one is an absolute no-brainer. 3 issues, I think.
One Dark Knight.
Can't wait. The thing that intrigues me about this book, so excuse me, everybody that's watching this, I'm just going to read exactly why this is a killer key, because I wasn't aware of this. So this is the first appearance of an imposter Batman who murders criminals live and on camera.
Yep.
Sounds lovely. But see, apart from that whole, spec and all that good stuff about picking this up, the reason you should pick this up is going to be for the fantastic color work by Jordie Bellaire. Jordie Bellaire is my favorite colorist, I believe, up there with like D Kniff and those guys.
Mm-hmm.
I think this book is going to be absolutely stunning, and that's the reason why I would pick this book up. But for all you speculators and people that want the first appearances of people, then apparently this is the first appearance of an imposter Batman. So there we go. Has that made you pick it up even more there, Sean? Is it just because
no, it already
even James is going to pick it up now because of that?
Yeah, definitely. But no, I think definitely is, and the fact that I love DC Black Label comics in general.
Yeah, a little bit edgier, definitely a little bit edgier.
Definitely.
Yeah, so that was Batman the Imposter issue number 1. Next up on Tom's picks is Immortal Hulk issue number 50. Now, this is one that I can appreciate. I've been on board for this one since issue number 1. This is written by the fantastic Al Ewing, who is also going to be at Thought Bubble, and the art is by Joe Bennett. The covers, every single issue has had cover by Alex Ross, which is absolutely stunning. And the reason this is a killer key is because this is the last issue of this particular run. So number 50 is the end, and like every end to every story arc, there's going to be something massive that happens that's either going to transition into the new run that's going to be taking place, which is what Donny Cates is doing, the new run, or there's going to be a new character that's going to lead into that new run. So I don't know, is this something that you're picking up, Sean? Have you been reading this at all?
I've not read any Hulk.
Have you not?
Nope. But there's a reason for that. There is a reason for that. I just haven't got round to it. But it is Hulk, and only by your recommendation, Swamp Thing are 2 books that I haven't read at all. And they are, when I'm going to get those, I'm going to actually get them as in, I'm just going to solely just pick up book after book after book after book and just sort of work through them. Hulk's always been a character firm favorite of mine. I just haven't got around to reading any of his books.
For me, I've read quite a few Hulk books, and again, using that word predictability, that a lot of them are. It's like cookie cutter like comics. It's the same story. You know what you're getting with it. But for me, this was the first Hulk run that really made me stop my tracks, and a lot of that's to do with Al Ewing's absolutely fantastic writing. Obviously, if you're a cover buyer, Alex Ross is going to scream out at you when it's sitting up in the racks. But yeah, I think if you're going into this one and you've not read any Hulk, this is the best starting off point. And pick up the trade, Sean. You know, it's 50 issues is going to be.
Well, that's the plan. It's going to be the trades. I do actually have a couple of trade books upstairs. My brother-in-law gave me because he went off to work, so he just handed me. But I think it's like 20 books. They're quite thick books. But there's issue 13's missing, and I'm sitting going, and I can't get it anywhere. So until I get it, I can't read it.
You can't read it until you get that issue. It's always the same, isn't it? Stan Collector's Universe is saying Immortal Hulk was a pretty good read. Yeah, no, I thought it was absolutely fantastic. I'm actually pretty sad that it's ending. Like, I'm not sad for my pull list because it's been a 50-issue run that I've had to collect.
Batman, 100 and something men.
Well, that's exactly it. It's just never ending, isn't it? Especially with Batman, let's be fair. But that's the Immortal Hulk issue number 50. Next up, we have Batman Urban Legends issue number 8. This is written by Brandon Thomas, and art is by Christian Ward. I think Tom must have known that you were going to be coming on, Sean, because he's picked another Batman book.
Yeah. I'll be honest. This one wasn't on my radar though, so
right.
I know nothing about it at all. And
well, I bet you're dying to know why this is a killer key. Well, let me just tell you why it's a killer key. So, according to this fantastic app, it's the first appearance of the Fearful, and possible first appearance of Poor Fellow, which is a new villain in the solicitation for issue number 10, who battles Azrael. So there you have it.
See, with Batman at the minute, and I don't know if you're thinking along the same sort of lines, but if you noticed, there's an awful lot of new characters in the last 6 months in Batman comics, and it just seems to be overkill.
I think that's what lost me with the James Tynion run. I think I finished at 106.
Clown Hunter and stuff.
Charlie keeps telling me to jump on it because he's a huge Batman fan.
Yeah.
And I think I'm going to jump back on. I think there's a new writer that's coming on board to take over from.
Yes, there is.
Is it
Joshua Williamson?
Yeah. So I think I'm going to jump in for that. And again, I've got an excuse because Jock's doing the 1 in 50 covers for the 4 issues that he's doing. So as if I needed any other excuse. But yeah, I'm with you. It's not something that I've been picking up. It probably won't be something that I'll pick up. But for anybody that's into their first appearances, then this is probably an issue that you don't want to miss out on.
Mm-hmm.
So next up, we have, I think this is the last one that he's chosen. So this is X-Men issue number 4. Now, I know that Charlie is a huge X-Men fan. He can't get enough of X-Men. He can't stand X-Men. But I know that Tom is a big fan. And this is written by Jerry Duggan, and the art is by Xavier Pina. And let me just tell you why, Sean. I can hear that you're really excited to find out why this is a killer key. But this is the first appearance of a Headless Horseman character in a Halloween-themed story, and the first cameo appearance of Dr. Stasis. I've not been reading this. I've not read. I don't think I've read any X-Men since Claremont. I don't know if I'm missing anything, Sean.
I've not read any X-Men for a very good reason. There's too many.
That's a good reason.
There's just too many. Where do you start?
Yeah.
Let's be honest. So it's, don't get me wrong, I've read Lex of Deadpool and stuff, which shares that universe and all the rest of it, but I just don't know where to start with X-Men. I mean, I love the movies and stuff, with the exception of Last Stand, etc. But it's just there's just too many. So
the cover, I mean, the cover's great.
Covers are great.
Yeah, I think I bought the run. I can't remember, Power of X and X of Powers or something like that it was called, and that was sort of my first diving into that. And I tried to stay away from all because there was a huge amount of negativity around about that book in that series. And I must admit, it was kind of all warranted. There was nothing really that drew me into those books. I think you can't beat the original X-Men for me, or even dare I say it, the good old 90s X-Men with Jim Lee doing the covers and stuff. That's what I grew up on.
I'm proper old school, where I grew up with the 80s and 90s cartoons, so that's to show my age. But I just love the old version of Wolverine in the pure yellow suit. Of Storm, Cyclops and all the rest, the original gang, and Gambit, who is so I can never understand why he's not in the movies. It just bewilders me. My favorite character out of them all.
It's actually one of the books that I want to get his first appearance on. I know that it's gone through the roof. It's a really expensive book, but I definitely want to pick it up for my PC. But this was Tom's last Killer Key. That's X-Men issue number 4 by Jerry Duggan and Javier Pina. So that is the Killer Keys. Next up, I think we'll do my little bit. And I don't know if you caught last week's show, but I've got a new intro. And it's probably the best intro that you'll see on the internet. So without further ado, let's kick it.
This is Andy's fault from Perpetual Comics. Pep.
Big shout out to Triple G. What an absolute legend. If anybody's watching in the rewind, and for the guys that are watching live, make sure that you go and sub up to Triple G's channel on YouTube and go follow him on Instagram. Absolutely fantastic content.
I remember watching that video, his video, because I'd seen that before, and whenever they made mention of it last week, I knew exactly what they were talking about because I watched all of his videos. The whole way through, when he was trying to say, I was expecting Turner to just go pick up a penguin, and I was just like, but the best bit is he actually says it right the very first time.
He does. I think secretly he just likes saying my name. I think that's what it is, Sean. Before we jump into the Killer Indies, we've got the Comic Room joining us, so thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate you. And just before I go into the Killer Indies, these are for the books that are due out next week. So New Comic Book Day, October 13th. If you haven't already done so when you're watching, can you maybe hit that thumbs up for me? I don't have the guys with me. I'm doing this with Sean, and I'm in the control, and I'm panicking. So it'd be really cool if you could give that thumbs up. Give a thumbs down as well if you want to. That's cool as well, as long as you're watching. And if you're watching the rewind, I'd really appreciate if you leave a little comment and let us know what books that you are reading as well. So appreciate you. So without further ado, we'll go into our Killer Indies. So these are the books that every week I pick to what I think are going to be good reads. And sometimes more than often, I hit it on the head, but sometimes I get it wrong. I do get it wrong, but let's see what we think of these ones. Sean, don't you say anything, So first up, this is an absolute doozy of a book. This is May's book. This is issue number 2 that's coming out. This is written by the absolutely fantastic Jeff Lemire and artwork by Dustin Nguyen, I think is that how we're pronouncing that? I'll just call him Dustin. Dustin is how his friends call him. Anybody who didn't catch our review of May's book issue number 1, please go after this is finished and check out the rewind of that. This for me was, again, I keep saying this, this is like my top 5 or my top 10 books of the year. It's just because there's so much quality that's coming out. And I think with Dark Horse, they've brought out a stunning book that is really thought-provoking. And that's what interests me about comics, is when I've read it, I go away and I'm still thinking about it. When there's a book that I've read and I instantly forget about it, and then I come to the show and I'm like, what was that book again? When it's forgettable, it doesn't really stay with me. But for me, May's book was absolutely great. Did you pick up issue number 1 at all, Sean? Did you?
I didn't. I actually haven't read it. I think the week this came out, when I was in my LCS, I was sitting with my pull list and other books added to it, and I sort of looked over it, going, I can't justify getting any more here. And so I thought, do you know what? I'll pick it up another week, and I will go back. It's still reasonably priced online, so it's still priced enormous, but it's a thicker book as well. So
slightly, it is slightly, it's definitely worth picking up. I can't recommend it highly enough. I can't wait to pick up issue number 2, and I'm just hoping that it keeps on the same sort of pace that the first issue did. The artwork for this was absolutely beautiful. So yeah, that was May's book issue number 2. I know there was a few people that were watching the show who picked it up as a result of the review that we've done. So that's fantastic when people are taking recommendations of the books that we're reading. So if anybody is watching in the rewind and you haven't picked up May's book issue number 1, I would highly recommend it. So book number 2 is Clear, issue number 1. So this might be one that's not maybe in a lot of people's radars. This is by Scott Snyder, and the art is by Francis Manapul. And this is actually a digital only. So this is through Comixology that you'll only be able to get this, as far as I'm aware. And it's released next week, October the 13th. So you may remember that there was news that Scott was releasing a huge amount of books digitally through Comixology. He'd done a deal with Amazon effectively. And I think this is one of the first books that he's bringing out as part of that. So this is through his own Best Jacket Press print run. For me, this book is, the cover just intrigued me for this one, and because it's Scott Snyder, it's going to be one that I'm going to go and dive into and see what it's all about. I like Scott Snyder's own work because he just has free reign and he can just let his creativity run. So the synopsis about this, Sean, is that it's a sci-fi mystery thrill ride into a strange dystopian future where a neurological internet connection is transforming reality. That's all it says. And if you take that with the cover and Scott Snyder, I think it's one that really needs to be on people's radars. So I don't know how many people read. Do you read any of them through Comixology? Do you have an account with Comixology?
No, I did, and then because there were so many books coming out, physical copies, I didn't have time, so I didn't justify having to pay for that. So I just went, no, I didn't have time to sit and do that. And
it's definitely worth it. I have it through my Amazon account, and it comes in really handy because with the Prime, you actually get to read some books for free as well. So top tip there, guys. Anybody that's got Amazon Prime, definitely check that out. But before I go on to the next book, I'm just going to say thanks for joining, GP. Appreciate it. Have a good night. Thank you, brother. So that was Clear, issue number 1. The next book on the list is Swamp Dogs, issue number 1. This is a Black Caravan, through Black Caravan, and this is written by Theo Presides and the art by J.M. Brandt. So this is kind of like my... I've never heard of the writer or the artist, but the synopsis and the cover alone is what intrigued me for this. So this is a little bit of a wild card one here, and probably one that if you wanted to pick up, you're either going to have to read it digitally, or you're going to have to make sure that you let your local comic shop know that you want it. Yeah. The synopsis for this one is that they come from the swamp, the scummiest squad of Confederate soldiers brought back to life by powerful voodoo magic. They crave power, carnage, and female flesh. They are the Swamp Dogs. So I don't think this book's going to be for the light-hearted, and a lot of the Black Caravan books are kind of like your Black Label DC equivalents. It's like, they're not for kids, not safe for work type books. So definitely something that I'll be picking up and reading. I might even do this as my pick of the week when I get the chance. But is this one that was on your radar, Sean?
No, but I do like Black Caravan because Black Caravan are predominantly horror books, and I love my horror comics. I've always been a horror buff, whether it's comic or book. I mean, I'm a massive Stephen King fan and Joe Hill fan, and if I see it, I'll probably pick it up just simply because it looks like it's an old school type feel as well.
The artwork looks absolutely stunning. I don't know if it's J.M. Brandt that does the cover art for this. I didn't actually mark down who done the cover art, but if the art is anything like the cover art, then I'm all in.
Yeah, I'll be in for a treat. Yeah, 100%.
It's absolutely stunning. So yeah, that's Swamp Dogs, issue number 1 by Black Caravan. And last is These Damn Kids, issue number 1, another first issue. And this is by Second Sight Publishing, one of our favourite publishers. We've had a lot of books all the last couple of weeks from Second Sight. This is written by Bradley Golden and art by Peter Brew. And again, cover art alone is intriguing, if not a little bit disturbing. And the synopsis says, in a small town in Vicksburg, Mississippi, the children have been acting strange. There have been reports of parents being attacked by the very children they raised. Some have even gone to school to try and kill the teachers and faculty. And that's all it says on the synopsis.
Just looking at the cover of it, I'm sort of getting a cross between Children of the Corn and Purge feel.
100%. Yeah, I see where you're. Yeah, it's definitely a good book. They've obviously brought it out for this time of the year for a reason, with Halloween and stuff like that coming up. So it's I don't know how many issues this is going to be, but just for the synopsis and the cover alone, I just thought, you know what, it's going to be one that I'll have a read and see what it's like. Again,
I'll probably read it online first before I actually pick it up, but also because the fact that second sight, it will be one of those you will need to order in.
100%. And that's the key with a lot of these indie book picks, guys, is like whenever previews comes out and you see any of these books that you're looking to get, that's the time to contact your LCS, to contact Tom from Not Quite Mint and get the pre-orders in. Even if it's just for the first issue, you're not obliged to take the full run. But if you want to guarantee that you want a hard copy of these books, then you're going to have to pre-order them because obviously they're smaller indie publishers. But yeah, that was my killer indie picks for next week, as it were. So I think we're almost finished. Sean, you can take a breath now. The next thing we're going to move into is we do a little bit of a sneak peek. So next week's show is going to be a little bit different, guys. Now, normally at this stage, we would show you the 3 comics that myself and Tom and Charlie are going to pick for reviewing. We're going to be reading comics, but we're not actually going to do a review next week because we've got a very special guest joining us. We have the one. Do you know what? Actually, should I just, see, instead of me just saying it, should I maybe just do this? We have the one, the only Jock joining us next week. We are so excited. I know in particular, I am very, very excited. Jock is my favourite comic creator, and Sean and all the guys that know me will tell you how much I rave about his work, about his art, and how much of a big collector I am. So I am especially excited to sit down and have a chat with Jock to find out what he's got planned, what he's got coming up. So I really do hope that everybody can join us next week. If there is any questions that you guys have that you want to put to Jock, then maybe just drop us a message, DM us, or stick it up on Twitter or on Instagram, and just hashtag the Killer Comic Show, and we'll make sure that we try and get Jock to answer them. Keep them clean. No, try and keep them clean. Not too clean, but keep them clean. So yeah, that's next week. Really excited for that. Sean, I know you've been a little bit quiet when it comes to all things internets, and but can you tell the people where they can find you if they want to go and see what you're all about?
Instagram,
comics. Yeah,
it's I'm one of those people where I'm more a voyeur. Rather than,
right, okay. What about
I like to watch. But no, it's you'll find me on Instagram, and then every so often I'll be on the odd show where I'll pop on, obviously, like so this covering for people, or when we do hopefully have Panels and Pints up and running again. Hopefully, at some stage, we don't know. It just depends really on.
I would like to start a hashtag Bring Back Panels and Pints on the socials. So guys, if you can make that happen, that would be great, and hopefully we can get a Panels and Pints show pulled together. But Sean, listen, can't thank you enough. I know it was really short notice. I really appreciate you coming on and joining me. Thanks to everybody in the chat. Leon, thank you so much. That means a lot. I really, really appreciate that. It's been a strange one. It's been a kind of a last minute to host the show, but hopefully everybody enjoyed it. And just a big shout out to Tom. Hope you're enjoying your holiday. and a big shout out to Charlie and all his family. God bless, guys. So I'll let everybody go. Enjoy the rest of your night. And the most important thing is, guys, be kind.